kind of gives you a little bit of a lesson here when you're hearing Saquon Barkley's name. The only reason Saquon Barkley is potentially going to make more money than DeAndre Swift is just because he played in New York and he was the number 2 pick. Notice I didn't say this. He's been the most productive back in the NFL the last 5 years. That's not who he is. You see, he's a shooting star. He's a flash in the pan. And I'm not paying money to try to get people to get into the seats at Lincoln Financial. I don't need that. I could put anybody back there, and they're still going to be 69.5 at Lincoln Financial, right? It doesn't matter who you have back there. And he's cheaper. Saquon, do I believe there's something to this? I do. I think there's something to it. But there's not a chance in hell that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to pay that kind of money for a running back who's always hurt. By the way, I heard Bill talking about DeAndre Swift. Well, I don't want Swift back at $7 million either. And I think he's a one-year wonder just like Miles Sanders was. I don't think he's going to put another year together like that. Hey, and for the record, let's put this out there. The Philadelphia Eagles and the running backs that play on the Eagles the last 2 years, would you not say this? They're a product of the great talented offensive line that the Eagles spend a ton of money on. You've had 2 different 1,000-yard rushers. Why wouldn't you have a third? In theory, I could put anybody back there. Sanders, DeAndre Swift, both of them are 1,000-yard backs. Now, is that more them? Or is that a product of the O-line? I think it's a product of the O-line. I think the O-line has way more to do with that success than themselves. Swift was nothing in Detroit. Miles Sanders went to Carolina, got hurt, never to be heard of again. Like he's in the abyss of running backs. So Howie shouldn't make the mistake of going after one of these high-paid running backs just because of name recognition. Just because the name on the back of the jersey says Barkley, hey, man, I could get a lesser player to be more productive. Swift is the greatest example of that. Swift had career numbers. Why? Well, when you have Jason Kelce, Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, and Lane Johnson, and Jalen Hurts as your quarterback and Goddard as your tight end, you better get $1,000. Steve goes, Barkley fits your offense. You're not listening, dude. Anybody fits your offense. And how do you even know what the offense is going to look like yet? This isn't September. You have no idea what Kellen Moore is going to put in and install in that offense right now. As a matter of fact, Steve, the offense is going to look like Dallas's offense with Dak Prescott. And if you're happy with the Dallas Cowboy offense, that's what it's going to look like because that's who he is. You think Kellen Moore is going to come in and change the offense? No. He's coming into Philadelphia to run an offense that he's good at. You don't hire people to do something they're not comfortable with. That's my problem a little bit with what they're trying to do with Hurts. Henry on the Eagles would be insane. That's right. If I'm going to pay $7 million, I'm paying for Derrick Henry. I'm not paying for Saquon Barkley. Derrick Henry get 1,500 yards behind that offensive line. They would be a frightening show. Derrick Henry, 2,000-yard receivers, a high-quality tight end, top 3 O-lines in NFL. Quarterback, if you put the RPO back in, is a weapon on 3rd down. And Henry, I don't know what you do. That would be quite the task for a defensive coordinator in the NFL, and it would put another dynamic. If you're going to spend that kind of money, that's who you get. As a matter of fact, Derrick Henry's the only running back on the open market that's a big money running back that fits Philly. The rest of them, dude, you get anybody back there. You've had 2 different 1,000-yard rushers in the last 2 years. Those running backs are products of the O-line they play behind or in front of. Let me put this out there to you. How many people think that DeAndre Swift is going to go somewhere else this year and have 1,000 yards rushing? I don't. I don't think he's going to. And look at where the Giants want to go. So yesterday, they had a meeting with Russell Wilson. Clearly a sign that they're moving off of Daniel Jones. Or they're doing this. They're letting other teams around in the NFC sending out a smoke signal. Let's talk to him. Let's talk to him. Why would you talk to Daniel Jones if you're the Giants? Why would you talk to Daniel Jones? You guys have an idea? I'll tell you what I don't get with it in a minute here. Hearing what you would say why they're talking to Russell Wilson, the New York Giants. Why would the New York Giants have an introduction conversation with Russell Wilson? Barkley would have a wet dream in the back of – absolutely, Steve. But so would anyone else. You've had 2 different 1,000-yard backs. He's overrated. I've never thought that he lived up to the number 2 draft pick in New York. He's never lived up to it. You could say whatever you want about Barkley, but because he went to Penn State, he was the number 2 pick overall. He hasn't really been good in 3 years. And you want me to tell you that, hey, you know, he'd be great with us. I don't know. Not at $8 million. Why would the New York Giants talk to Daniel Jones? Why would they do that? What's in the best interest of the Giants to talk with Russell Wilson? Diane Rossini is reporting this, by the way. Why would this be a good move? Okay? Why? What is in the best interest of the New York Giants talking to Russell Wilson? Brian Dable wants to coach a player that kind of resembles Josh Allen. They play alike. Anthony says to improve the quarterback position. It would. He's better. This is what I say why they're doing it. I think they're telling people if you want to make a call for Daniel Jones and you want to buy Daniel Jones or you want to have some conversation about some type of trade, have at it. I'm open for it. They're not expecting to get a first-round draft choice. You don't talk to a quarterback when you just gave a guy a year ago a 3-year contract at $40.1 million if you don't have buyer's remorse. Holy shit, you devalued your player. You'll never get a 1 for him now. It is now public that the Giants have downgraded their quarterback and devalued him by talking to Russell Wilson, which means they're open to taking deals that are far lesser than what people would think. And the Giants would have to do the same thing that Denver did. You know what that is? Eat a ton of that contract. Look at the cap hits. The Giants would be willing to take those cap hits to get him out of the building and to get Russell Wilson into the room for $1.3 million. I told you this yesterday. Wilson is a very enticing quarterback to sign right now. He's an upgrade to anything in New York or Pittsburgh at the league minimum. You could basically get a rookie quarterback deal for a veteran, potential Hall of Fame quarterback and Russell Wilson quarterbacking your team. And in the process, take the hit of Daniel Jones's cap hit. And you can balance it by saying, I'm only paying the quarterback $1.2 million. And you deal Daniel Jones, knowing full well you're going to have to pay some of that contract. Or absorb the contract, dead cap hits. It's very enticing for the Giants. And you're going to see a boatload of teams do this, especially with quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised if New Orleans, because of the cap issues they have, don't want to have a conversation with Russell Wilson. Hey, we'll give you $2 million. Denver's picking up the $39 million, or after that, $37 million. We're already in a massive hole. You improve your quarterback room. You got a pretty good roster down there in New Orleans. That's also something that you want to, he is going to help a team. Minnesota would be an absolute sensational spot for him. That would probably cost them more money, though. Okay? And by all accounts, Minnesota wants to get Cousins back, but at $38 million, $45 million, when I could sign Russell Wilson for $2 million? You see what I'm saying here? Russell Wilson's going to have a spot somewhere on a pretty good football team. New England. He could go to New England. They got a good defense up there. Get a couple pieces around him, offensive wide receivers. That could be a team that could turn around quick. They got a shitload of money to spend. Okay? Relative goes, nobody wants Daniel Jones. That is so not true. If we've learned anything, Baker Mayfield, reclamation project. Jared Goff, reclamation project. Ryan Tannehill, reclamation project. That is so not true. Every organization will take a shot at a guy like Jones at least for a second time. Ryan Tannehill sucked in Miami. He took a team to the AFC Championship game. Got himself a contract for 3 years at $35 million. That was a grand slam move for him going to Tennessee. Grand slam. Jared Goff is supposed to be a stopgap quarterback in Detroit. They're working on a brand new $40 million plus per year deal in Detroit for him. Reclamation project. We see this all the time. It's not like it was in the past. Organizations are open now to giving these other guys opportunities to come in and protect. Here. Look at the Dallas Cowboys, for instance. There's only one reason that the Dallas Cowboys brought Trey Lance in. Because they're kind of using it as a bargaining chip. That if Dak Prescott doesn't sign a team-friendly, I guess, deal, they'll move on to Trey Lance. Hey, if I'm Dak Prescott's people, I'd do this. Okay. Sure, go ahead. Good luck to you. The market that Dak Prescott would have would be gargantuan because of the numbers that he puts up. Gargantuan. If Cousins is going to get $45 million, Dak Prescott would get 60. But still, he's 2-5 in the postseason. So, as Jerry Jones says, he hangs you around the rim at least, and you get an opportunity to be in the conversation for potentially having something happen. Hey, if Nick Foles can win a Super Bowl, Dak Prescott can. Nick Foles was never the quarterback Dak is. He had a bright moment, great run. That's it. If Foles can win one, Dak can win one. No one would ever convince me that Nick Foles is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. He had a better moment. That's it. No other thing than that. Okay? Matt goes like this, seriously? So you think Nick Foles is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott? That is absolutely bullshit. Everywhere he's gone, he's bombed except Philly. And he bombed in Philly. I mean, don't get yourself twisted, dude. A guy was a journeyman quarterback. Failed in Indy, failed in Chicago, failed in Jacksonville, failed with the Rams. Don't get yourself twisted. Okay? Why? Holy shit. Are you guys kidding me? You're really going to hang on that and say that Foles was better than Dak? Dak is better than Hurts. Don't get yourself twisted, kid. Yeah, whatever. Okay. I'm not going to talk idiotic here with people about talking about a guy who had a great and maybe the greatest moment in Eagle history, because I don't want to throw shade on him like that, because I actually like Nick. Foles is better than Dak. Then why is he out of the league? Why is Foles out of the league? Why couldn't he keep a job? If he's so much better, why couldn't he keep a job for more than 1 year? Ask yourself that. He's older. Really? Because quarterbacks today don't play into their 40s. Asshole. Whatever, guy. Let's move on. You talk about stupidity beliefs. Okay, I'll take this. Horrible take, stupidity belief that you think that Foles is better than Prescott. That is an idiotic belief. Nobody believes that except the people in Philly. Okay. Let me know when he keeps a job. Sure. All right. Let's move on to this. Some more news coming out. Okay. How many people believe that Vic Fangio is going to put the defense in a position where they're going to be a top 15 team? I made the prediction yesterday. One of my bold predictions. I think they could be a top 15. KP, what don't you believe about that take I said? What don't you believe when it comes to Foles versus Dak? What don't you believe? Where in the world do you think that? Super Bowl MVP. So is Joe Flacco. And okay, we're moving on. So, Xavier Howard. Let's see here. How many people believe that Vic Fangio is going to turn the defense around? All day long, Ray? Let me know when he can start and keep a job. Let me know. Jeff Hostetler has a ring. Fangio sucks? I'm not saying that. I'm not a believer. Flexing. Tell me if this here is concerning. So Jalen Ramsey came out a couple days ago talking about how Vic Fangio didn't know how to use the personnel that was down in Miami. Now Xavier Howard comes out, and here's some quotes. He had no idea how to use two press coverage cornerbacks, Jalen Ramsey and myself. And you got to think about it. At the beginning of the year, you could have made an argument that Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey were one of the top three duos at corner in the National Football League. And these two guys have now come out saying Fangio didn't know how to use us. We're press corners. That's who we are. We're not zone corners. Fangio played these guys off the ball and did not press coverage and use any of them. And the two guys said he had no idea how to utilize the two of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League. His defense was outdated. Those were 2 corners. Ramsey's considered one of the best corners in the National Football League. Okay? Does this concern you in what we're talking about here? That Vic Fangio is going to turn your defense around. Does this concern you? You got corners that are saying, this guy doesn't play press. He plays that soft-ass defense. You're going to be doing the same shit you did last year with 2 corners that had 3 picks. And if you don't get home, you have no chance of turning that defense around with the personnel at corner right now. None. He's going to play the same shit that they played last year. I have a problem with that. He's not going to blitz more. He's not going to bring more pressure. And he's going to play off the ball more. So you're going to see control and contain with this defensive coordinator. Do you have a problem with this? I surely do. And again, you guys keep telling me how great your offense is. I don't think your offense is great. I think your offense has great personnel. I think you've got great personnel over there. But to tell me that Kellen Moore is just all of a sudden going to magically change that into being more of a ball control, that's not going to happen, especially when you have a defense that has issues like this. Now, this isn't me talking. This is former players of his that are coming out saying this. Vic Fangio didn't know how to use the personnel in Miami. And some will turn around and go, hey, he broke the Dolphins' sack record for getting home, okay? That he did. But down the stretch, that defense fell apart. And every time they played against physical teams, they got run off the field. Look at who they played last year. Dude, that game between the Eagles and the Dolphins wasn't competitive. That game wasn't competitive. Their defense was not competitive. And Vic Fangio versus that offense was not competitive. Buffalo destroyed him late in the year. Why are you convinced Vic Fangio is going to turn this defense around when he was killed against dominant teams last year? Let's take a look at that. If you look at the teams that he was coordinator for last year, and you look at the dominant football teams that they played against last year, man, I'll tell you what, I'm starting to look at this higher, and I'm not that impressed. 2023 Miami Dolphins schedule. Let's take a look. So the Ravens beat them 56-19. Is that so? Right? They beat them 56-19. Here. 56-19. The Ravens, a dominant football team. Blew them off the map. Okay. The Broncos put 70 on them. The Broncos put 70 on them. Let's see here. The Patriots. The Jets put... No, that's not the Jets. $56 points on them. The Jags put 31 on them. We're really going to sit here and say that this is a good hire. Okay? You're right. They put 70 on the Broncos. Thank you, LJ. Thank you. You're right. Bills put 47 on him. Fangio has had a top 10 unit against the pass in 8 of his last 13 years. Not last year he didn't. We are convinced because our defense sucked and can't get any worse this upcoming year compared to last year. Would you agree? He'll be better than Desai, yes. Sills, I want a defensive scheme that hunts and not one that gathers. But that's exactly what I'm saying here. Ramsey's saying and Xavier Howard saying he doesn't know how to use the personnel. That's what I'm saying, Bob. LJ's right. Hey, there's no... See, listen. LJ's looking at low expectations then. Because his attitude is, you're not wrong, dude. I'm not ripping you. His attitude is this. Well, shit, we can't be any worse. We can't be any worse. I don't know if that's a winning attitude. We can't. By the way, I've got some targets here that we're going to look at for next week. And we'll ask you flat out. I can't overcome that Fangio's defense. Not our fake, we got quarterback that can't use our weapons. Tanner, they need to spread the ball around more. They just need to spread the ball around. It can't be a one-target offense. It's the same philosophy. That's the problem I have, Anthony. Same style. It's just different names on the title. I don't like this at all, nor do I. You're going to do the same shit on both sides of the... You see, listen, this goes back to the press conference with Howie Roseman and with Nick Sirianni, not at the Combines, but at NovaCare. They're not doing anything different except hiring more qualified coordinators and giving those guys a little more say. That's all they've done. They don't believe they did anything wrong, but hired. They're telling you right now, I have come to the conclusion. Here's my take, Xander. I've come to the conclusion after sitting and looking and listening and seeing how he talks and how Nick talks. Here's my conclusion on the direction of the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles. They're not going to do anything different when it comes to drafting, when it comes to scouting, pro personnel, and when it comes to the coordinators, except for this. They believed they made a miscalculation. And you notice what I said? They made a miscalculation in the coordinating hires. That's all they think they miscalculated on.